All right, joining me now is Bellator light heavyweight Sullivan Cauley, who's going to be facing Ben Parrish next at Bellator 273. Sullivan, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, man. And I'm excited for this fight. You've looked very impressive in your first two professional fights, and we're just about 2 weeks away from the big fight night. So how's this camp been thus far?
Been great. I didn't obviously publicize it, but during my last camp, I had some problems with injury, and I really wasn't able to hit the camp the way I wanted to. And this camp, I've managed to take a little better care of myself, and I've been perfectly healthy the whole time. So I've just been able to hit it really hard, and I'm in probably the best shape I've ever been in. So I'm ready to get down to it.
It's great to hear. Can you discuss a little bit as to what the previous injuries were and how you've, I guess, your health has evolved since then?
It's just old stuff from wrestling in college, like back and neck injuries. But I just invested more time and energy into recovery and injury prevention, physical therapy type exercises, massage, stretching. Just I've tried to really. I've always trained hard. I've tried to really round out the rest of my routine to sort of promote longevity.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, when do you start to, I guess, dial down camp a little bit where you don't go quite as hard just to make sure that you don't have any last minute injuries or, you don't tweak anything, leading up to fight night?
We've already finished all of our hard sparring. I don't do a ton of hard sparring, but each camp we make sure we get two, three really hard sessions in. We're already done with that, and that's where most of the injuries are going to happen. We're finishing out this week really hard in terms of conditioning, pad work, and all that stuff. And then next week will be significantly dialed down. It'll still be the workouts will still be intense, but the volume will be decreased.
Any new training partners for this camp, or have you had pretty much the same guys that you normally do?
I do still just doing a lot of work with Vader and CB Dalloway. But this camp, I went over to the lab and got some sparring in with Jared Cannonier and some of the other guys over at the lab, and that was really good for me as well.
Is that something that you feel like you might do a little bit more moving forward?
I think so. Yeah, I mean, Cannonier is a great partner for me. He's a good dude, first of all, and I really like John Crouch, the coach over there as well. And it's a good atmosphere. It's like very competitive sparring, but they do things right over there. Like nobody's trying to kill you. So there are a lot of guys who go a little overboard on the sparring and take years off their life. I don't think you want to be that guy. You kind of want to save it for the fight a little bit.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think it goes without saying. I'm sure Jared is looking great leading up to his fight, but just tell me a little bit more of the specifics. Like, does he look like maybe he's evolving since we've even seen him last inside of the octagon?
He looked great. He's just basically, even though I was in the thick camp, he was kind of just kicking his off, so I didn't really get to see him at full form. But from what I saw, he looks really good.
Yeah, no doubt there. I got to ask you about Bader. Obviously, he's coming off that loss to Corey Anderson. How difficult was that for him? Because I got to be honest, man, I didn't see that coming. I thought that it was going to definitely be a lot more competitive, and I mean, a lot of people thought Bader was going to win. So, what was his mindset afterwards, and how is he doing now?
None of us saw that coming, really. Like Corey's obviously a great fighter, but he's not known as a thunderous power puncher. But I mean, he saw that Bader can sometimes lean in a little bit on his jab, and he just, winged that overhand and caught him. So, I mean, props to him. He did a good job. Bader was obviously upset, but Bader's he's a real professional. He's so experienced at this point. He can just kind of roll. He can just kind of let that roll off him, I think,
I know he's been a big influence and a part of your life, for a while now. How cool is it to be fighting on the same card in Arizona, where you guys both went to Arizona State? He's going to be fighting for the defending his heavyweight title. Is that pretty neat for you? It must be.
Oh, it's awesome. Yeah, I mean, my last fight was the same deal. But yeah, I mean, you really can't ask for anything cooler than that. I was a fan of his, in like high school and stuff. So to be able to fight on the same card and in our, you know, in our hometown and in front of the home crowd, like it's awesome. There's a lot of energy. There's a lot of energy in that place. People excited for him to fight. And we kind of travel in the same circles. So I get a lot of that, attention kind of transferred to me too. So it's really awesome.
Yeah, and clearly the both of you are going to have a lot of support in the arena come fight night, right? So does that give you more nerves? Does you have more pressure, you know, when you're fighting at home in front of so many people?
I think fighting in front of the home crowd makes a little difference. Gives you a little more of that nervous energy. But having done it once before will definitely help going into this one. I mean, every time you fight, it gets like a tiny bit easier to do it. So I'm glad that I, you know, got out there in front of the home crowd last time and performed really well. I know that I can trust myself to perform under pressure in front of, you know, whoever's going to be there, you know?
Yeah, for sure. Are you getting a lot of people hitting you up for tickets? I imagine that's going to be a difficult balance as you're trying to prepare for the fight.
Yeah, I'm starting to feel kind of some of the things that Vader has been telling me about, that he's been dealing with in his career. You know, like you wanna say yes to people and you wanna like help your friends out, but I don't get any free tickets, you know. So I gotta like you gotta also learn to say no to people. But I mean, it's just any of these problems are great problems to have. So it's all exciting stuff.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Now you're 2-0 as a pro now. You had a fairly quick, I'd say, amateur career. You went 4-2, I believe. When you just look at your evolution of your skill set as a mixed martial artist, obviously you're an accomplished wrestler at ASU. How far do you feel like your overall game has evolved since you turned pro?
I've come so far, but the thing that my amateur MMA record was 4-2. The thing almost nobody knows about is I've had like I think over 20. That was my dog jumping into the frame here. I had over 20 amateur fights in terms of like not even counting the MMA fights, just boxing, kickboxing, Muay Thai. So I mean, I've come such a long way since I started fighting, and then just like since I turned pro, I mean, from my first fight, I've just gotten more accustomed to the process of doing a professional fight camp and of getting in there under the lights on the big show. You know, my first 2 fights were for Bellator, so nothing changes there. I mean, I feel like I'm constantly evolving, and I feel like my skill level is really already right there with the top guys in this division. It's just a matter of getting the experience under the lights and just, you know, doing the damn thing.
How big do you get? Like, I mean, I imagine short notice fight, you'd be able to fight at heavyweight, no problem. Are you a big light heavyweight?
I'm like about 225 most of the time. I've been, you know, obviously working really hard, dieting a little bit. So I'm like probably like 220 right now. I'm not like a giant light heavyweight, but I don't like to cut a lot of weight. I kind of don't believe in it. I think like, I think people do too much of it, assume it's going to help them, and oftentimes it doesn't. So I like to leave myself a nice, easy cut, maybe 10 pounds of dehydration at the end, maybe even less. You know, I don't like to have to stress about the weight cut. I don't like the feeling of not being able to even think about or focus on the fight because all you can think about is your weight cut. I just kind of think all that stuff's counterproductive. So
Yeah, I totally agree. So having said that, do you feel like, you know, maybe we can see you fight at heavyweight in the future, or are you pretty much just focused right now at 205?
No, I'm not going to fight at heavyweight. Just because there are those guys at the top end of that division that are like 300-pound guys who like, you know, cut down to 265, and that's kind of just a different size guy than I am. I've had a lot of amateur fights at heavyweight. I've had kickboxing, Muay Thai fights at heavyweight. Like I can do it. I can get up to 230, 235, like not ripped, but I can be pretty big. But I feel like I'm going to be better, like lean, trim, dialed in at 205.
Yeah, the big promotions like Bellator and UFC, there should be a cruiserweight division, right? 225. So it's not such a drastic difference between 205 and the heavyweight limit of 265.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just like big guys are kind of in short supply. I think that's how the promotions feel. So they don't want to add another weight class, you know?
All right. What is your current contractual status with Bellator? How many fights do you have on your deal?
I just signed a 4-fight development deal with him. So this fight against Parrish will be the first fight on that contract.
All right, fantastic, man. And so,
Right.
do you feel like you're going to fulfill that 4-fight deal in 2022?
I mean, I hope that would be awesome. Get 4 fights in the year. I think that's probably unlikely. I think it'll probably end up being more like a year and a half. But I mean, I'm all for getting 4 fights in 2022. That would be awesome.
That would be exciting. And as far as your hobbies go outside of MMA, I saw on your Instagram you look to be somewhat of a hunter. Is that something that you like to spend a lot of your time doing when you're not training MMA?
Yeah, I mean, I like to hunt as much as the government will let me. Um, I make no claims to be like the greatest hunter, but I mean, I love being out there. That's something I get to do with Ryan as well. He's a big hunter, and that's something I have in common with a lot of my close friends, both here and back home in Reno, Nevada. So yeah.
Is it just deer, elk? Like what's your favorite game to hunt?
Well, I've never drawn an elk tag, so I can't speak to that. But I would, I mean, I would love to. But I hunt a lot of birds. I hunt quail and dove out here in Arizona, chucker in Nevada, and then deer. I have an antelope up on the wall right here. I would flip my computer around. It's kind of clunky. But yeah, I mean, I basically whatever the government's gonna let me go after, and I can put and taste decent, I'll go hunt.
Okay, I like it. I'm a carnivore myself, so I'll
Yep.
eat anything. And I also see that you're a writer for Skillset Magazine. That's pretty cool. Is that something where you're hoping that it'll just continue to evolve the more that you do it?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's how I kind of paid my bills, like my as far as the end of my amateur career, and how I've kind of kept myself afloat in between fights since I turned pro. And it's something I really like doing. I went to college and I learned how to write, so the fact that I'm playing face punch all day, like I think it's good for me to get to use my brain a little bit. I think eventually, like as my career evolves and I gain a little more notoriety, I think I can parlay that into something. Something to do with MMA journalism or just takes on fights or fighters. I don't know exactly what it's going to be, but I mean, I think there's got to be something there.
Yeah, man. You could be like an analyst. You could be sitting up there with Chael, right there for one of the
Yeah,
Bellator cards in the future.
I think I could probably do something like that. Get a nice suit and get up there with Chael.
I love it, man. Makes a lot of sense. All right, let's talk about your opponent, Ben Parrish. He's 5-1. This fight's going down January the 29th. How do you like this matchup for yourself?
I like it a lot, actually. I think uh, he kind of has a name now because he knocked out that Edwards dude who was kind of a hype train, and people love, like, it's kind of like the Roy Nelson effect. Like, people love when a guy who looks out of shape can fight. And like, Parrish doesn't look like an Adonis by any means, but like, obviously he's a pretty decent fighter. He can chuck him. So, and he's got a good record. So like, I think it's awesome for me because I think he's very beatable and people know who he is. So I think when I put the hurt on him, we'll kind of get my name out there.
So both of your pro fights you finished in the first round. Are you going to make it 3 in a row? Does this fight get out of round 1?
He's a tough guy, so I mean, it very well could. But I like to fight aggressively, and I plan on coming out there and throwing some heat at Ben, and we'll kind of see what he can take.
Yeah, you seem pretty confident though that regardless, even if it does get out of round 1, that you believe that you're going to get the job done and probably put him out, right?
Yeah, I'm a serious endurance athlete when it comes to fighting. Like, my conditioning is one of my strongest points. It's the number one thing we focus on in fight camps. So I feel very confident that I can go out and fight hard for 15 minutes and like drown people with cardio. So Yeah.
All right. Cardio is king. Can't wait for this one. Sullivan Cauley meets Ben Parrish at Bellator 273 going down January the 29th. Definitely a pleasure interviewing you for the first time, man. Before I do let you go, I want to give you the floor. Tell people where to follow you on social media. And if you have anyone to thank, any sponsors, the floor is yours.
All right. Yeah. Follow me on Instagram at Sully Cauley. Really looking forward to this fight. Thanks for having me. My number one sponsor is AZ811. So check them out on Instagram as well. And that's it. Thank you.